I'm an atheist and I love science. But loving science is not what makes me an atheist. In fact, I was an atheist before I really even had an interest in science. I was an atheist before I really had an interest in music. Not that that's related, but neither is science. So, I just did a video on trying to pound that into people's heads. But I love science because science is interesting. Now, people like Richard Dawkins, though he is a very outspoken atheist and anti-theism, not the same thing as atheist. An atheist doesn't think that there's a God. An anti-theist thinks that there shouldn't be religion. So there's a difference there, and Richard Dawkins is very outspoken on that. But he's also a biologist. And the way he thinks is interesting. Another outspoken atheist is Lawrence Krauss, who is a physicist. Also, very interesting. I read a lot of Dawkins books on both religion and science, and Lawrence Krauss on religion and mostly science, because most of his books are more about science, because that's what his focus is on, and he'll speak about religion, but he's a scientist. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I love, I adore Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he will not say he's an atheist. He pretty much is, but he doesn't care. He doesn't want to be labeled as an atheist because atheism isn't part of what his focus is. Religion gets brought up a lot, and he really does point out how religion has stymied science and religion has held us back. So he's definitely not a fan of religion, but that's not his thing. He doesn't want to talk about religion. He wants to talk about science because science is interesting. Other people I'm a big fan of, speaking of biology, there's Jerry Coyne, evolutionary biologist. Very interesting work that he does in biology, but he's another anti-theist. He's another person who really thinks religion is detrimental. Another point, Neil Shubin, another evolution guy. He's, I don't know if he was the original finder, but took the fish, the walking fish, the fish with limbs. That was kind of his big find, and look up Your Inner Fish. But he writes a lot of interesting books. Michael Pollan, who's not a scientist, he talks a lot about food. He's a writer. But I'm very interested in science things and science-related things. Not because I'm an atheist, but because those are interesting things. They are the things that explain the world around us. They are the things that allow us to have the world that we have, that advance society and advance just everything. That's what science does. That's why I love science. And that's why most atheists love science, because we've given up on God being the explanation for things. We don't need God to explain things. And we don't necessarily need things to be explained. If we don't know, we can say we don't know. It's not scary. I mean, God was invented because things were scary and they needed explanations. And so they threw God out there and God explained it. And now we've gotten to the point where we have found out enough about the world around us that we no longer need God. But God is a hard habit to break. People have believed in God for so many thousands of years, they just cannot let it go. But science is interesting, and science tells us how the world works. Another guy to listen to is Aaron Ra. He's not a scientist, but he is an educator, and he puts forth really excellent videos about the world around us and how religion, because he's another anti-theist. He doesn't, but he explains why things, he explains why we don't need religion to explain things. Another excellent person is Thunderfoot. I forget what his real name is, and Thunderfoot 001, or that you know who I'm talking about. I'll put the links to all these people down so you can find them easily. But he is a scientist, and he explains why the world is the way it is, and why we don't need religion to explain it. Now, people like Kent Hovind, they do the same thing in the opposite direction. They send out bullshit and say God explains it. And William Lane Craig, another one, God explains everything. Here scientists show this, God proves that. And like, no, you're lying to people. And Ken Ham is a horrible liar. He may not think he's a liar, but he is. He tells people complete detrimental garbage bullshit, and it makes me angry knowing that he and Kent Hovind are out there misleading people and telling people wrong information that is making them stupid. Yes, I said stupid. People like Ken Ham and Kent Hovind make people stupid. William Lane Craig makes people stupid because they give the wrong information that makes people not understand the world around them. Where real scientists help people to understand the world around them. And even, people who aren't necessarily scientists, but science educators help you to understand the world around us. And that's what religion is fighting against. Because religion is afraid that understanding the world around us is going to make you stop believing in the God that they keep telling you is real. That should give you the hint that the God they keep telling you is real is not real. Because they are so goddamn afraid that the science is gonna convince you that it's not real. Self-fulfilling prophecy, I think. They're... Anyhow, I'm an atheist, and I love science. Not because I'm an atheist, but because science is cool. And there's all these brilliant people who are working very hard to help us understand why the world and life and the universe is the way it is. And they explain it more often than not in a way that anyone can understand. And I'll send everyone I've mentioned and plenty more. This is where I get my information from. I don't get it from Dawkins. I don't get all the information out of Dawkins. I don't think Dawkins is the God and everything he says is correct. I don't think anybody is always correct, which is why I love science, because there's always somebody coming behind saying, oh, you're wrong. This is how it really is. Oh, really? Well, let's change what we all believe to this new, more correct information. Unlike religion that says, no, this is the way it's written and it's in stone and you believe this or you're going to hell. I don't care what reality shows you. This is what the book says and you're going to hell if you don't believe it. That's why I hate religion. I don't hate religion. Religion really just does not help anything anymore. Maybe did 100 years ago, but now it's bad news. It really is. People don't need religion. They need information. Science brings us information. Religion just gets in the way of that. Anyways, I'm Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist. And just look for science. Just read all these papers, books, videos. There's so much information. So much interesting, real information that explains the world as it really is without using the crutch that God did it. Because God doesn't explain anything. Okay? Do that for me? Thank you. Good night.